one of the most iconic characters in the legacy of Super Smash Bros. He's honestly more remembered for his competitive impact on Melee than his actual impact on the game that he originates from. We're obviously talking about Fox from the Star Fox franchise. You can't really talk about Fox without talking about his impact on the Smash Bros. Franchise as a whole, being a top 4 character in Smash 64, the first Smash Bros. Game that Fox originated from, and of course we can't talk about Fox without talking about his impact on the Melee scene. Creating so many memes and jokes about how prominent of a character Fox is in Melee, Fox is the #1 character on the Super Smash Bros. Melee tier list. He is picked up by a lot of top players, and I'm sure you guys understand Fox's legacy if you understand Project M and you have played Project M before, considering the building blocks of the entire mod are built on making Fox as close to his Melee iteration as possible. In fact, Project M originally was built as a way to play Falco and Fox in the Brawl engine. Now, as far as changes to Project M, I'm going to be honest, I could make an entire video from the framework of how to play Fox in Project M, but it's going to be identical to any video you find of the character in Melee. And that's how close the character really is with his iteration in Project M. But of course there are some changes. In Brawl, Fox was definitely a shell of his former self. So one of the things that the developers want to do was get Fox's aggressive playstyle for Melee back in the Project M engine. Bring back his shine, aka his down B reflector. His shine is important because it's one of Fox's fastest options and it allows Fox to start combos, escape combos, even stall recovery, and really the shine is one of the most important parts of his Melee and Project M moveset. There has been many changes to Fox's moveset. While some people would notice the small nerfs and say it ruins the character, not enough in my opinion. I still think Fox is very viable. Some of the small nerfs though, he was given blaster shot decay and damage based on distance, so this is mainly to prevent spamming. Fox's illusion and Firefox landing lag after special fall have been slightly increased, and he can no longer perform wave shine infinites against walls. This is less likely to happen in Project M's legal stage list though, considering the only time this would really happen in Melee is during the stage changes on Pokemon Stadium. And the biggest nerf that makes people completely write off the character is Shine lost its intangibility on its first frame of activation. That means it has weaker knockback curve when used off stage, and it kind of loses a little bit of its charm that it had in Melee. However though, I don't think that's really enough to kill the character. As you can see, there's plenty of people who still play Fox in Melee and even play him in Project M. There are some slight differences of course, but it doesn't ruin the character despite what some people might say. So while being technically outshined by Wolf, at least he's not Falco, who definitely has a lot more trouble adjusting in the Project M meta. Fox landed in the A- tier for Project M's final tier list, which again doesn't mean he's bad. Like, some people shit on Fox and say he's horrible, but he's not. I think Fox is actually one of the Melee characters that transfers over very well to Project M. However, I will explain why Fox maybe has a lot more problems in the Project M meta compared to Melee, and it really comes down to the matchups in Project M. The fact that Project M has much more matchups compared to any other game, especially Melee, where the viable roster is much smaller and more centralized, that means that your average Fox main is going to have to learn a lot more matchups in the roster. I've seen many people who've mained Fox in Melee and try to play him in PM and immediately quit because they have to fight a character like Lucas or Donkey Kong. If you have been in the Project M for a community for a while, I'm sure you've seen these type of players come in and out of the community. It really comes down to if the Fox player is going to want to learn the matchups and understand the new brawl tech like wave bouncing and so on and so forth. As stated earlier, you could really watch a Melee video to see how Fox is played, and most of the tech from Melee would transfer over to Project M in some sort of way. So for Fox, things like up throw, up air are really good options in Project M, especially on a lot of the floatier characters in the cast. Things like shine, up smash are great bread and butters for the character. The basics from Melee and the PM tech will really be necessary for Fox. It's really necessary for Fox to know the basic tech and have it down. So things like L cancels, dash dances, jump cancel shines, recovery sweet spotting, jump cancel grabs, up smash out of shield, And those are really just a few of the tech that Fox is really going to have to know and have the fundamentals down in order to be a good Fox in the meta. One of the weaknesses that he has as a character, though, is he's combo food for the majority of the cast, and that's really due to Fox having extremely fast fall speed and gravity. That means characters are going to have an easy time comboing him. But on the contrary, Fox is definitely a very capable character at clapping back at his opponents because of how aggressive of a character that he can be. He has low weight, even though he can be gimped at very low percents, and landing lag changes to his recovery means getting back on stage will be a little bit more difficult. This issue is exacerbated in Project M because many characters have actually tools now to deal with things like Fox's recovery and his aggressive options. So like I said, it's important for a Project M Fox to understand the changes within the cast so they can really know what the character is capable of doing. But despite that, he's definitely still a powerhouse of a character. Many people do play him in the meta, and he wouldn't be an A- tier character if he wasn't a very dominant character in the meta. So in conclusion, Fox transferred over very well to Project M. Unlike other melee characters, Fox is definitely one of the melee dominant characters that does very well. So if you played him in melee, of course you're going to feel at home playing the iteration in Project M. But there's obviously going to be some minor changes to the character, where he might feel a little bit different at points, but still feels very faithful to the original design. So remember, to be a good Fox main in Project M, just play Wolf. No, I'm just kidding. Anyways, guys, have a good day. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a good one.